G'day, how you doing, guys? It's Anthony from Grazia Fitness. Just today I'm going through MyFitnessPal, doing a tutorial, just a step-by-step for those who I am covering as clients. So mainly I'll just be covering what this is about, MyFitnessPal, the diary logging, the scanning of barcodes, creating recipes, and the quick add, which requires no barcode. So what we'll do, we'll just go into the diary. Obviously down the bottom, you'll see a diary. So we'll click on that and you go into that diary. What this does is you always will have a calorie count that I have given you. This one, I'm just setting it at 2250. Obviously, you'll see that through data entries of creating recipes of your own, you will be able to put them into your diary. And all the recipes will add your fat, protein, and carbs. Makes it very easy so that when you're structuring your meals and your diet and nutrition around your training, you're able to understand exactly what protein macros, fat macros, and carbohydrate macros you're actually consuming per day. Now, if you click on the remaining, obviously I got 1055 on the top right, so I'm just clicking on that. What that does is that'll take you into your nutrition profile or calorie profile or macro profile. You've got three of them up the top. So your calories will you can set a goal, and through that goal you can actually change your fats, proteins, and carbohydrates. I recommend for most people who are trying to lose weight doing 20% fats, keeping their proteins at 35%, carbohydrates at 45%. Usually I will change that as people change their goals with wanting to put more muscle mass on after being a lot leaner than they would like. Obviously when they've become quite lean and they've reduced their body fat and are quite happy with where they're at. The nutrients is basically a goal for each of your nutrients. So you can see there, there's a goal, there's a total amount, and there's also how much is left for you to consume for that day. What I usually keep a massive eye on is always the protein, carbohydrates, and fats. A lot of the micro minerals you can see are in there, but usually I train people to keep an eye on that before I start getting them to focus on those other nutrients. And obviously on the third selection, you can go into macros, and your macros will just tell you how much you're consuming for that day and where the goal will be. So pretty basic. What I'm going to do is take you through creating a recipe. So when you go into more, there's an option with 3 dots and more. That'll take you into your area where you can find a lot of features like my premium features, my profile, plans, recipe discovery, workout routines, goals, challenges, nutrition, my meals, recipes, and foods, which is what we're going to go into, and the rest of them are just reminders, apps and devices, steps, community, friends, messages, settings, privacy center, help, and the sync that you use. Now we're just going to go into my meals, recipes, and foods, because this is the main area you want to be creating your recipes in. As you'll see, you go into it and you'll find I've already created a lot of recipes where the calories are created. And it's not just serving one, but a lot of the time I'm making meals that are serving a lot more than that when I'm making recipes for my meal planning. So you go into create a recipe down the bottom. You click on that and you'll go into an area where you have to enter ingredients manually. You click on that and you'll come into an area where you're adding the recipes. So what I want you to do is when you're in here, you basically create a name for the recipe. Here I'll just write choc berry protein oats NutriBullet. Once that's done, you go in. That'll be a serving for one. Obviously, when I'm doing lunches or dinners, I can go over that, and you'll just change your servings. You can actually change the servings at the end as well, where I'll show you in a sec. So as you sort of calculate the calories in your food that you're putting into the meal, sometimes you can exceed what you want to eat in that certain breakfast, lunch or dinner. So you want to be able to understand the amount of calories you want to consume for that breakfast, lunch or dinner, or when you're trying to snack. So we're just doing this as a serving of 1 for breakfast. So we're going to go through and put the arrow in to go right at the top right. That'll go into an area where you have to manually enter the ingredients by adding ingredients. So click on add ingredient. And what you do is you'll find you can either go into search for food, or you can scan down the bottom right the barcode on the food that you've got. The easiest way is to scan it. If you can't locate it or the scanner doesn't work, you will have to search for the food into the database that MyFitnessPal has. So I'll just go away, I'll scan this, open up the scanner. First thing is I'll go to my protein. 1 cup, basically 1 serving size, is around 120 calories. You see here with 23.5 grams of proteins. So I'm going to add that in by clicking on the tick at the top right. Next thing I'll do, redo another add ingredient. So I just open up the scanner yet again, and then I'll scan that in. Now that'll be a serving size of about 180 there. So I'm just going to change that. Usually what I do is only put about 100 grams into this. So I'll go and change this completely to about 99 grams. And then I'll tick off the top right tick. And then I'll add it in. Now when I go to add ingredients, I'll grab this one. The oats. Now the oats is around serving size of 50 grams. Sometimes I'll make it lower or higher depending on my carbs as I change my diet with whether or not I'm going into more of a deficit, more of a maintenance or surplus. So I'm just going to add just the 50 grams in and put the tick on top. Now the next one's add ingredients for this is for the coconut, shredded coconut. So right there, you see 100 grams. So I'm just going to take that out, go back to 1 gram, and I'm going to put about 15 grams in there. Not too much, especially when I'm cutting on a low deficit diet, keeping my fats low. You'll see there just with 15 grams of shredded coconut, it's 9.3 grams. So I'm just going to add that in by putting the type right tick there, and I'll add that in. Next, add ingredient, mixed berries. Now, usually a serving size of about half a cup to a cup. 100 grams is a cup. Obviously, I put in about 100 grams. It's pretty low calories. You see there, it's 57 calories for 100 grams, which is pretty decent. So I'm going to add that in. Obviously, you can choose any sort of milk you want, but I'm just going with soy milk today. Usually I use almond milk or anything you like. So I'm just going to put, obviously, it's 250 mils there for a serving, so I'm just going to make it into a half. You'll see I can go on the side here to half and go back to 0 on the left, which will create a half. That'll take you back to 125 mils. And I'm just going to click on the tick at the top right and add that in as well. Next ingredient into this is the cinnamon. Now you only need about a tablespoon, it's really up to you. Pretty low calories, 1 tablespoon, 6 calories. Add that in, and there you go. That's basically the ingredients you place into a meal. Now if you're doing this, you see down the bottom it says 1 serving, 588 calories. If you want to go lower or higher with the calorie content, obviously you adjust things like the mixed berries, the shredded coconut, the quick oats, the Greek style strain yogurts. Obviously, if you want to put 1, 2 or 3 protein powders in it, it's really up to you, and it depends what you want to put into it. So you'll see there, it's 588 calories for that. So I'm just going to go up to the top right and see the arrow pointing to the right. I'm going to push that over. You'll see that I go into this for the last time, where you can see the servings here as at 1. And if you want, you can actually adjust that if you can get the tapping on it. Won't even let me change the servings there. Can't get behind the 1. Anyway, we'll just leave it there. Obviously, when you're in this, you can actually change that servings right there. You'll see I go and select, there you go. So you can change it to 2. If you want to, you just go back step into the ingredients, and you'll see now down the bottom, it says 294 calories per serving, 2 servings. So that's a little way that if I'm making a meal plan, large meal plan where I'm doing obviously a kilo or more of meat, a kilo or more of carbohydrates and veggies, and anything to do with any sauces or condiments that you're placing into it, you can actually readjust the individual portions of what you're doing per serving. So you'll see if I go to the back top right there again, I'll go back over, back to 2 servings, and I'll just click on that 2, go back to 1, and then basically I'll save and log that just as a breakfast. Obviously you see there I've got a 429 calorie breakfast on my low diet, but this is just showing you how you can individualize each and every recipe that you're making. So it's all really based upon your goals, how much you're eating. As long as you've got the calories in there and you're able to reach those targets quite easily. You'll see if I go back to my nutrients, you'll see that there I've a goal of 208 per day. I've been 171, 187 carbohydrates, obviously 46 grams of fat. So there, I'm getting pretty close to where my fat levels should be. My protein levels need to come up a little bit more for the day, and carbohydrates as well. So it allows you to just focus on them while you're training. Alright, well, I'll delete that out. Obviously you can delete that out. Now you'll find there's other aspects. If you want to add food, like if I go down here for a dinner, you'll see there's obviously a scanned meal. Usually that comes into play when you have the premium version, so that allows you to just scan a meal that has not been, it'll scan the image of the meal and actually will try to calculate it based on a library that has with uploading these images, so it bases its outlook on the actual meal that's in front of them, like at a restaurant. So you'll see here, you've got the scan barcode. Also, you can do a quick add as well, where if you're sort of unable to get a barcode, but you know the exact total fats, total carbohydrates and proteins of that meal, you can enter in the calorie amount. So, and then you're able to actually write down, no, if you can only count the calories, do that, but if you can understand the fats, carbohydrates and proteins, you can add that as optional. It gives you a bit of a sense if you go somewhere and you're eating out, you can just easily access that and put it into your diary for the day. So that's based on pretty simple procedures with what you need to do with your diary logging, scanning barcodes, whether you go into the shops, making food choices, just making those recipes at home so you can add them into your diary. Obviously, creating recipes is something that you'll learn around and just adapt to making different things, and obviously learning your calorie intakes through this MyFitnessPal application, which is just, it helps you to achieve your macronutrients behind the training that I'm giving you. So I think that's pretty much it on this level. So we'll go back to, you'll see all sorts of things. There's a lot of options in there, but you really don't need to be looking at too much. Obviously with the steps, you can connect your Fitbit, you can add your friends, you can message people. Obviously in the settings, there's a lot of settings in this for your profile, what your goals are, your height, everything. So if there's any questions, please shout out to me what there is, and I'll obviously get back to you on many of those questions. But that really does cover a lot of what needs to be sort of covered for every client that I've come across. So a lot of it is pretty much learning how to just open up the certain areas of plans, recipes, and workout routines, which I don't recommend really putting workout routines into this because of the fact that it's really hard to bring a total calories on the workouts that you're doing in the gym, unless you're wearing a heart rate monitor or you have your own MyFitnessPal heart rate monitor app on your watch. You want to be able to know this application's much better for just tracking your macros, making sure that you have those targets, and as you learn through your training whether or not those deficits are working, whether or not they need to go lower, whether or not you can increase them at some point based on energy levels and energy availability. And basically, if you want to go into a bit of a growth period where you want to bulk and get a lot bigger and have more muscle mass, then you obviously will increase those calories. And